Yes, here we go. We have got a BrickLink order, and I think this order is from Germany. So, we got a whole lot of pieces to build. So, welcome back to episode 19 of building Mumbo's base out of Lego. And as you can probably tell, we are going to get a lot of building done in this episode because we got a whole bunch of bricks. And since this order came from Germany, I swear, every single time something comes from Germany, this took like 2 days to come, and while I order something from in the US, it takes like 2 weeks. So Germany is really on their A game with shipping and how fast it is. And now, sadly, these orders are not any of the parts that I needed for building up the heart. These are all parts for building up the pillars. So, sadly, I'm still waiting for the heart, but we got a lot of pieces here for building up the pillars. There's a lot of 1x1s, a couple of plant parts, and these blue parts are for going inside of the pillars, along with like these red and white ones. But yes, there is a ton of parts here. So we basically got most of what we need for building up the pillars. But before we jump into a time lapse of building up the pillars, I would just like to say thank you to Moment Kowalski, and he was saying that I should do a 100 subscriber special, and I wasn't really going to do anything, but then he came up with two pretty good ideas, and I think I'm going to do one of them. So he said you could do a Q&A, or a sort of thing where you show off your entire Lego collection, and I am going to do a Q&A. So any questions that you have, just please leave them in the video, and hopefully I can answer them in the next episode, or maybe even make an entire separate video for that. And now, obviously, if you don't know what a Q&A is, you just ask questions, and then I can hopefully answer them. But since we have all of these Lego parts here, let's jump into a time lapse. Okay guys, so I managed to build up these two pillars, and they might not look that big or they don't take that much time, but really each of these 2x2 brick sections that go up in each of these corners take about 20 to 30 minutes each. So each pillar here is about an hour and a half to 2 hours of building. So that was about a grand total of about 3.5 hours of building just to build these two pillars. And these aren't even really that close to being finished, because as you can see on one, it has this bar here, and this is the changes that I made in Studio to help have a better support. But as you can see, the other ones do not quite have that yet because I do not have the parts for it, so that's another BrickLink order I have to place. And now I was planning to build a whole lot more, but then there was my good friend procrastination, and I actually completely forgot to get done the rest of the design. So it's very difficult to build up something when you don't even have the design for it. And it's even more difficult to order parts for said design when there is no design. So very quickly here, I guess we'll jump into a studio time lapse and finish up the design. So with these pillars, you may notice that they're not quite as detailed as the other ones over here. So these ones that I'm holding are going on the front, and these are going on the back of the base, so they won't be seen quite as much. And they have a lot more of the studs going out to the side, because I just recently went to the Lego store, and as you saw before, I got an absolute ridiculous amount of these parts that have like the bracket and the stud on one side. So that is absolutely amazing that I have so many of those parts. So with all these studs sticking out, I will hopefully be able to put like leaves and plants all along the outside, so kind of like the vines that are in the mock. So hopefully I can do that, but for now, let's actually finish the design so I can order the parts so we can actually build up these pillars. Oh, wait, one more thing. It is now Friday again, and my BrickLink order for the heart has still not arrived. So that's taking a ridiculously long time. So I don't think that we will be able to complete the heart in this episode. And this is like the second time that I've said we'd complete the heart and we don't. But I mean, that BrickLink order is taking a ridiculous amount of time. But enough of me blabbing on. Let's go jump into that studio time lapse. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed that actually pretty short time lapse, but now we have a basically complete design of these pillars, and obviously these sections up here can be like repeated from down below, so that can just be copied in this area up here into this area up here. Oh yeah, and that fan you hear in the background, that is my crappy computer making a whole bunch of noise. But anyway, so each of like the sections that go at a 45-degree angle are made up of these little, I guess, like support structures here. So that's what each of them look like. They're a little bit complicated, definitely took a while to design, but in the end it pretty much all worked out. I still got to do a little bit of stuff up here, but it should be pretty simple, and hopefully I can place in a BrickLink order to order up all the parts that I need to hopefully build up all the rest of the pillars. And now in the last clip, I actually forgot to show you guys something. So during the last time lapse, so the one where I was actually building up the pillars out of real Lego, I took a picture about halfway through of what it kind of looks like behind the scenes. So that picture is kind of what it looks like when I am building up Lego. So I think the best way to describe it is an organized mess, because is definitely a pretty big mess, but it is organized in my eyes at least. So yeah, there's a little behind the scenes picture. But now with these modifications onto this pillar done, I'm gonna see if I can scrounge together enough parts to hopefully build up one of the pillars with all these modifications. So let's go do that right now. Okay, so after a little while of building and looking for some parts, we now have one of the pillars with the modifications added. So now this pillar has the first section and also the little 45-degree section done. So in person, it definitely looks a lot better than it did on the design, because these little gaps kind of get filled in by shade and like darkness, kind of there's no light that gets in there, so it kind of hides away all those cracks. So this definitely looks pretty good, and I especially like this front section, since obviously that's going to be the section that's facing outwards, and it basically fits together seamlessly, so that's looking really good. So there you can see like a side-by-side comparison of after and before, or before and after. So now when I built up this first like 45-degree section, I have a rough idea of what pieces I'm going to need to build up the rest of them. So BrickLink orders are definitely going to have to be placed, and so that being said, the next episode might take a little bit longer to come out, because really I don't have that much else to do other than build up the pillars. So the next episode might take like a week and a half to come out. But on another note, I actually did do a couple more modifications to the heart. So I got this little section in here, and I am still waiting for pieces for the heart. So if those come, hopefully I can finish the heart. But I think with getting the design done and also completing like all the bottom sections for the pillars, I say that that's a pretty good episode, and we're gonna have to wrap it up here. Oh yeah, and make sure you leave all of your questions in the comments so then I can do a Q&A. But if you did enjoy, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that before you go. And with that said, Gigahertz Productions, out.